This session will be contain some demos. One is a movie that I recorded, and the other one is a live demo. But let's start. First of all, some words about me. My name is Gerrit Grunwald. I'm working for Karakun, not for Canoe. I worked for Canoe, but now it's Karakun. As a software engineer, I worked as a Java evangelist for Oracle before that, and I'm mainly interested in UI and UX stuff. Okay, so let's start. The talk is about a research project that is done together with Karakun and together with the University of Applied Sciences and Arts in Northwestern Switzerland. And we try to figure out new ways of user experience. And to give you an idea, let's start with the current situation. The current situation on desktop computers, from a business point of view, it's business applications, mainly form-based, controlled by keyboard or mouse, right? And you have controls like text fields, combo boxes, buttons, all this standard stuff. And in the end, this is old and boring. So it's not really fun working with a business application. That's the way it is. Then on the other hand, we have mobile. There we have all kinds of apps. If you need something, then there is an app for that. That's nearly guaranteed. Then we have multi-touch interfaces. Then voice control, we have camera and sensors, and we have advanced UI controls, right? So it's because they can make use of all these new things like multi-touch. Well, this is fresh and exciting. So people love their phones and they hate their desktop applications. Well, when we talked about this topic at the university, we thought about what can we do, and we had an idea. So what about combining the platforms, mobile and desktop, to make, I had the tone up, to make the best out of it. The principle is not new, and I bet you know it. I think everybody knows the Apple Touch Bar, right? And you see on the screen there is this control, which is the volume indicator, and then you see the touch interface on the bottom at the keyboard side. Well, the idea is if we take a look from this view, then why not splitting it, using the phone for the touch input and the control on the desktop. That would make it possible to use the mobile phone instead of a touch bar, right? So this is the idea. This is one of the ideas. Okay, to get this done, we need to fulfill some requirements. And the requirements that we first of all have is the availability of mobile phones. I mean, this shouldn't be a problem these days. But we found a study from Germany from 2013, and even in 2013, 90.4% of all people have a mobile phone. So it was roughly 10% without a phone. And the target group are the people between 30 and 49, so the working people, and roughly 97% have a mobile phone available. So that was not a problem at all. Then the second thing we figured out was the 24-hour usage of a mobile phone and the desktop computer. And that's quite interesting. If you take a whole day and you have the office hours here from 9 to 6 roughly, then you see the desktop usage is like this, right? And if you then see the mobile phone usage, and it looks roughly like that, you can very easily point the breakfast time, because then everybody's on the phone, then move to work, and then it's like going down. And after work, oh, okay, I use my phone again. This is also a little bit older study, but I think it's still, if you have someone working on an office, this is still the same today. Well, and the interesting area is this part in the middle, because there we can make use of both devices and increase the usability on the desktop, right? There's one thing, if we use two devices like a mobile phone and a desktop computer, is we have to do synchronization. Somehow we have to synchronize the data from one device to the other one, right? So we have a desktop computer. If we type in something on the desktop, it should appear on the mobile phone. And the way around, so if we type something on the mobile phone, it should be on the desktop. So the well-known solution to that is you need some server technology. We tried with a direct connection, like using the phone via Bluetooth and then talk to the desktop, but this is not really easy to implement, right? So did someone ever did Bluetooth on mobile and talk to a desktop computer? Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, especially with Java, it's really great. So, and this is well-known technology using some server and then just synchronize over the server. And then we built the first version. And the first version had used only Java, so nothing else. And the controls that we built the purpose of this thing was to create controls with an additional functionality for business purpose. And the idea was to use the same control on the desktop and on the mobile phone, and in Java. And we have different visualizations for each platform. That means if you have the control on the desktop, it looks different than if you use the same control on the mobile phone, right? The technology that we used for that was JavaFX on both devices, so on the desktop and on the phone. Does someone know how to use JavaFX on the phone? Does someone know Gluon, maybe? Ever heard of it? Never? Okay. So I will show you. So this is an example. There are some screenshots. So on the left side, you see the desktop application. And on the right side, you see for the date field here, the lower left field, date mandatory, this is the same control. But if you use it on a mobile phone, it will appear like this. Right? And if you, for example, use it's a number field, the right one, then if you open the number field on the mobile phone, it will look like on the right side, so like a calculator. And on the left side, on the desktop, the calculator will only open if you push the button besides the text field. That's the idea. And that was the first idea. So we built controls that have some additional functionality, like you can directly type in the field, for example, you can type in something like 5 plus 5. Enter, and it will directly give you 25, stuff like that. And if you would like to use the calculator, you just click on the calculator and use that one. Okay, that was the idea, and the technology to make that possible is called Gluon. If you check it on the internet, then you will figure out that with Gluon you can write a Java application with the JavaFX UI, and you can use this single application on your desktop and on the mobile phone. And yes, it works on iOS and on Android, and yes, you can deploy it on the App Store, it's no problem. It's not that well known, but it works quite good. And so that means it's Java end-to-end, right? So that was for us important for the first project because we did it together with the students, and to not confuse them with iOS or Android, we just stick to Java and JavaFX because that's what they teach at the university. So that was easy for them to build some stuff. You can even access the hardware of the mobile phone using a Java API. And the nice thing is that you can create your application and access, for example, the camera, and it's the same code running on iOS and on Android. So you don't have to take care about, oh, I now have to deploy it on Android. No, it's no problem. It's the same code. They compile it down to both platforms. So we get native apps for Android and iOS with Gluon. Okay, the architecture in this case was fairly easy. We have a JavaFX application on the desktop. We have more or less the same application running on the mobile phone. And the synchronization was done using OpenDolphin, which is a framework to synchronize a presentation model over different platforms. So OpenDolphin, to give you a short idea about it, is it's built like this. So you have the desktop client, and on the desktop client, you have a presentation model. On the mobile client, you have also a presentation model, and both of these devices talk to the server, and the server takes care about all the synchronization of the presentation models. And on the client side, doesn't matter which one, the controls itself are bound to the presentation model. Means if you change something in the text field, by each click, it will change something in the presentation model, it will send it to the server, synchronize, and the other client will get the update and it will do a live update. This is done by OpenDolphin, and that worked quite well for this purpose. So, like I said, we bind controls, directly the UI controls, to the presentation model, and then OpenDolphin takes care about the synchronization between these presentation models. And this is now the demo where I have just a video, because it didn't run on my device, and I got just a video to show you how this worked. And you will see that the image quality in the video is sometimes not that good, because the focus of the contrast right on the mobile phone is not that good. The left side is a desktop application, and you will see when he go to the H field on the mobile, it will pop up this control. Instead of typing in, he can now use his finger on the mobile phone, like he did now, and you will see the value will be synchronized to the desktop. So that means you get an additional benefit of using a mobile phone with a multi-touch input, like here, right? You can see now now it changed it on the desktop. And the same when he entered the number field, the calculator will pop up automatically, and then he can type in something, and this is in both directions. That was the idea of this demo. So now you can see if you type in something, like that was the additional functionality. In the text field, you can type in also multiplications and additions and all these things. So this was the version number 1, and it was a proof of concept, and it worked quite well, but it has also some cons. So let's see first of all the pros. It's the same code running on both devices. That's, I think, the most awesome pro on that side. It was very easy to develop, because you can even do the test for the mobile stuff on your desktop computer. Then, testing of the code, because all is Java, it's a no-brainer. And deployment was also easy, because the Gluon stuff is really great. You can directly, from the IDE, you can deploy it to the device. It's a Gradle task. You can do something like Gradle run on the device, and then it will deploy it to the device and run it. So that's fairly easy. And you have one control for both environments, which is more or less the biggest benefit here, because you create a UI for desktop and for mobile, but the logic of the UI of the control is the same, right? It's just the UI which changes dependent on the platform it's running on. Well, and it's all plain Java, so very easy. On the cons, we had a little bit of an overhead by OpenDolphin, because you can imagine if we exchange the presentation model for each thing you change, you send a lot of data back and forth just to update the UI. And to be honest, it was not really needed here. And that gives you a little bit of a performance loss. It's not really a big one, but it is not needed, so you can get rid of that. And on one side is an advantage to be on the Java platform, but on the other side, I found it's a little bit, we are so bound to the Java ecosystem. And with the second approach that I will show you in a minute, you will get an idea what my idea was when we finished this one. So the second version, because when I saw that, and I used the coffee filter because it was really the concentrate of the first version, I thought, why not using a mobile phone and create one control on the mobile phone in a native app for each representation on the desktop, right? So let me explain it to you. I would like to create something that is platform independent and framework independent. I don't care. And it should show the controls of the standard framework that you use on a desktop. It might be a web application using whatever, Polymer that I use this here, or Bootstrap or whatever. It might be a Python app with WX widgets, something like that, or maybe a .NET application, right? I don't care. And then for each control on the desktop, I create one control on the mobile phone. So that means from the technology side, I need one mobile application. Could be either written in Swift or Objective-C if you like, or Android using Kotlin or Java. And on the desktop side, it could be whatever you like, right? Just write your desktop application and use it. So I use, for the demo that I will show you later on, I will use Swift on iOS, and then I have a demo for Java and a Polymer application. Then you can get an idea of the purpose of this second approach. So the architecture that I use in this approach is a little bit different because I don't use OpenDolphin, I use MQTT for the synchronization. Does anybody know what it is, MQTT? It's a message broker, right? So the broker is Mosquito, but the MQTT is a protocol invented by IBM in the past. It was made for monitoring oil pipelines, so more or less sensors that are at these pipelines. And the advantage of using that protocol is that it's very small and lightweight, and it's made for bad connections, more or less. So which is, in this case, really great, because if you're on a mobile phone and you don't have a really good connection, this is still reliable and works quite fast. And on the desktop, I used Polymer, and I also use a JavaFX application because I love JavaFX, and it's just so easy to create an application there. I have to do it. And I also started doing a Swing version of that, but I think I will skip the Swing stuff, instead doing something with Python also to give the people an idea that it's really independent of the technology that you use on the desktop. Well, using MQTT means it works on all platforms that support MQTT. So if you have a a desktop application or web application, for web that's no problem. I use Eclipse Paho, the JavaScript version on the browser, and also on the JavaFX application there's also Eclipse Paho for Java, so I use it there. And you will find MQTT support for C, for Python, for .NET, for I don't know, whatever you like. So if you have support for MQTT in your framework, then everything's good, or on your platform. And the thing that I do here, we have the broker and we have the two clients, and in this case, I have to take care about the synchronization myself. By using OpenDolphin, I don't care, right? I just bind the controls to the presentation model, and that's it. Everything else is done by OpenDolphin. In this case, I have to take care about the synchronization by myself. So that means in the actual demo, it's like this. I have a mobile client, and in this case, a JavaFX client and a web client. They all talk to the broker, and then I have to do a client-side validation. That means I just send the messages, and each client has to identify and validate the stuff, right? Which is, it's not really that hard of work to do, but you have to implement that on the client side. The advantage is it's faster than the OpenDolphin version. So that means I have one control on my mobile phone. For example, let's say I have this, you saw this touch spinner, right, where I use the finger. And then I have on the desktop maybe a spinner control. So I have to send some content between the desktop and the mobile phone and share it. So what I do is I create a JSON file, and it contains several different variables like the control type, the control ID, numbers. So you have to send numbers. If you have, for example, text fields where you have something like age, then it's an integer, but if you send other stuff, it's a double or a float. So that means you need different type of numbers. Then you have, if you have numbers, you always have a min value and a max value. You have to take care about this stuff. And then you might have units that you would like to send from one device to the other. And text, of course. Just if you have a text field, you type in a name, you would like to send the text. So this, in principle, is all I need to send from each device to the other. And therefore, I use JSON, I already told you. So this is, in principle, the stuff that I sent. And then you just compress it to binary and send it via MQTT, which means it's really small. And when you take a closer look to this, to the stuff that I did here, then you will figure out that you don't need a lot of different fields because you can identify the stuff by their types. So that means I have a text, that's easy. I have a number, also easy. And then I have numeric, and I will come to that later. Then you have a date and a color, and then there is a combo for combo boxes. A signature, and I will come to signature because this is really nice one, and image. And I think this is all types that I need to nearly can remote control with my phone all kinds of applications. So, and then I have some more things, some more types in addition for commands, because what I figured out when I use it, when I have the mobile phone and for example, I go to my desktop app and I click a text field, then on my mobile phone, the text thing pops up. And then it would be nice if I can directly do something like a tap on the keyboard, which go to the next control, right? If you're a power user on a desktop, you usually work with the keyboard, and then if you would like to skip some fields, you just tap to the fields. And therefore, I implemented stuff like next, previous, and then you also see exit and request. Request is that if I start the application or something happens, then I send request, and then the other port answers with the, for example, if I open the phone and it sent request, then the current text field sends it value, something like that. Then the mobile application knows, okay, this is the text field, this is the content. So the application that I built looks like this. It's just a demo application to show you all kinds of types that I have. So on the left side, you see the JavaFX application. Then in the middle, it's the same application running in the browser, because you can also run JavaFX applications in the browser. It's possible. There's a technology to use that is called JPro. If you search for JPro, you will see that you can run JavaFX applications in the browser. I can show you later on. And then on the right side, you see the Polymer version. And the nice thing about this one is that you can see the differences between the UI frameworks. JavaFX is made for desktop applications. And you see this, the text fields and all that. On the right side in Polymer, it's material design. It's made for mobile phones. And the difference, as you can see, is it's longer, right? So the vertical, it needs more vertical space, material design. And the reason is fairly easy, because on the desktop, the orientation is like this. And on the mobile phone, it's like that. So I just say that because I was once in a project where the management decided they would like to have a desktop application that should use material design. And it was a form-based application. And I told the guy, it's not made for desktop. And then he asked me, well, yeah, but everybody uses it, so material design is the new thing, we need to do it. So we built a desktop application using material, and you can imagine what happens. So we need a lot of space in the vertical area, and then the UI interfaces look like this, very small, but very long. Right? So it's not a good idea to use that on desktop, just let me tell you. We went through this, and you can see it here in my simple demo app, you can already see. On mobile, it's fine because it's made for endless scrolling, right? You just scroll in one direction, it's easy. But on the desktop, you have a horizontal layout, so it's a different kind of thing. So this is, just keep that in mind. Okay. As you can see, we have different controls on this application. I have a text field, and I can use the text field for the type number. I can have numeric. Number and numeric, the difference is number is more or less integers, like age. Numeric could be stuff like floating points. Then I have date and color, and all this will be done in text fields. Then I have a spinner control. I have a text area, a combo box, and an image view. And the image view is used for photo and signature. And these are the controls of the application, and their representations are like this. So the number field on the desktop on the left side will on the mobile phone look like on the right side. Right? So that means you have just a slider where you can slide with the values. And now you can imagine it makes sense to have a min and a max value. right? So you can decide it, and then the slider just will give you these borders, the lower and the upper. Then the numeric field looks like this. So that means on the desktop side, it's the same more or less, but on the mobile side, you get the calculator because you would like to type in, for example, some calculations. Could be a more complex calculator, but in this case, that was good enough, it works. Then we have the date field. Yeah, I just simply use the standard date picker from iOS. And to be fair, I mean, also on desktop and on web, we have date pickers. So it's just, you can use it, but you don't have to. The color field, it's, color pickers, sometimes they are quite easy, sometimes they could be more complex. So if I click in the color field, I will get this one on my mobile phone, which might be more fun to play around with. And then we have the simple spinner. And you know that already, this is the same as the other slider. And then you can see most of the controls that you use in form-based applications can be represented by a simple control on the mobile device. And the text area there, I tried something different because here I just used voice recognition on the phone. Because it's already there, why don't use it, right? And I will show you in the demo, and I hope it will work. That means I can just speak something and it will recognize the text and send it to the desktop, and it will fill out the form. And then I have combo boxes. It's just like this date picker, very similar in iOS. And then we have photo. Photo is a little bit different because photo, usually what you find is you have either something where you can drag a photo, or you have a button where you can say load photo or something like that. And if this pops up, then on the mobile phone, I can make a picture and send that to the application. And I will give you a use case for that. And then we have signature, which is also quite nice because sometimes you have, for example, if you're an insurance company and you're in the office, then people need to sign something. Or you have a car repair shop. People have to sign the contract. Why not use the mobile phone to sign the contract, right? To make the signature with the touch device. Then you don't have to scan it or stuff like that, and you don't need paper. So this is the signature control. And the flow of this stuff, of the application, is as follows. So I have the Polymer application in this case. And the first thing that happens is the field gains the focus in the browser. So then what it does, it creates a JSON that contains the current information that we have. That means it's the text field, it's a number field, it's of type number. Then there is no text in there because it's number, we need the value in this case, right? You see the 1. So we know, okay, this is the value. There's no unit, and it's not a combo box. Combo would contain a comma-separated list of all the entries. And I have to say that this only works if they are not too long. So if you have a combo box, for example, with all cities in the world, then maybe a combo box is not the right thing to use. And then the list would be very long, which would not be that perfect. So it generates the JSON, then sends it to the MQTT broker. In this case, I use Mosquito. And then from there, it will be subscribed by the mobile phone, by the mobile app, and then it will pop up the right control and show it to me. So and then on the mobile phone, if I just move the finger to the next value, after I'm finished, the same happens the way around. So again, a JSON will be generated, sent via MQTT back to the desktop subscribes to that topic and shows the information. So that's in principle, the flow. So it's fairly easy. And for images, it's a little bit different because you can imagine if I take an image with a current mobile phone, like the iPhone 10, the images are quite big. They are in the megabytes. You can send stuff like that with MQTT, but you better not do it. I tried it, and it worked, and it took forever to create a base 64 encoded string out of this image and then send it, it's a pain in the neck. So you better don't do that. So instead of that, what I use is I use File.io. File.io, does someone know File.io? I also didn't know it before, but the good thing about this one is the service, it's like a one-time download service. So you upload a file, and then you can download it exactly once, and then it's deleted on the server. And the good thing is that I can just take the image, upload it to File.io, I get a URL back, and I send just my MQTT message containing the URL. And then the desktop application can just get it from there. That's the trick. And that works quite good. So I upload the image to File.io, then I get back the URL to download it, and then I send the URL with the JSON string again to my desktop application, and the desktop application or browser, it doesn't matter, can then download the image from File.io, which is quite nice. I mean, you can also implement it on your own server, but I mean, this is for free, and for the demo, it's good enough. So it works quite well. And the same approach I use for the signature. So if I have to send images, I use File.io. And there are also other services that offer the same kind of thing. Okay, and now we are very good in time. Let me show you a little demo. And everything went so smooth at Joker that I'm very confident that it will work. So let me see. First of all, let me start. I show you first the JavaFX application. Here we go. Just move it a little bit to the side. Then, yep. All right, here we go. This is my mobile phone. Okay, let's start the application. Okay, here we go. So the mobile phone application is just waiting now for some input. Now I click in my desktop application and you see, bam, it's there. Now I can move on the mobile phone to a value, 42, and you see in the desktop it's there. I could also use the desktop and say, oh no, it should be 5. Then it's 5 on my mobile phone. Right? So this is the idea, you get the idea about the synchronization stuff. So if I switch to numeric, I get the calculator. Let's type in 6 times 9. Okay, here's the result, and the result is also in the desktop application. And now it's the fun part, it's the the text. I go to the text area, now I got a microphone. Now let's test it. Joker rocks. Here we go. It's in the desktop application already. So which is a nice thing. Then, of course, we have the date picker. I can choose a date here. It will appear on the desktop side. The color picker, same thing. I just choose some. Let's choose this one. And then it will appear also here. It should work the way around. I never tested it. Yeah, it does. So that's quite nice. Combo box, again, same thing. So I use something and it will select it here, but it won't close the combo box as I see. And now the interesting thing is the image part. And the story for that, to give you an idea, is let's imagine I have a car repair shop, and then someone approaches the shop with a damaged car. And then he says, okay, I have a problem, I have a damage on my car, can you fix it? Okay, first thing that I do, I create a new contract and say, yeah, no problem, let me take a look. And then I have to go out. And then I have to take a picture, because I need it for my documentation. So wouldn't it be nice if I can just take my phone, I click here, just go outside, and then I say, okay, let's take a photo. Let's take a photo of you guys. Yay! Here we go. And then I say, okay, use this photo. And then send the photo. And then we hopefully should see it. Ah, here we go. So now we have the photo on the desktop application. And this is really nice. I mean, I just implemented one to give you an idea. But you can imagine I'm standing outside and then just take pictures, and the pictures can be automatically added to my desktop application or web application, doesn't matter. And I think I found this, it's a quite nice idea. And it was not my idea, to be honest. Some of the students came up with this, and he said, yeah, my father has a car repair shop. And I said, oh, that's a good one. So, and then the same was with the signature. So now we have to sign the contract. So I just click signature, and then on my mobile phone I got the signature. And then I can say, okay, let's go. Oh man, it's not easy. Joker. Ooh, not so good. Okay, not really perfect. And then I send it. And here we go. So now on the desktop application, I can do whatever I like. And of course, I could also use it like a normal desktop application. So without this mobile client, it would work anyway. And then if I close this one, it will just shut down the mobile application. So this is the JavaFX version. And we have the Polymer version 2. And let's see. By the way, it's awesome Wi-Fi here. I mean, the first conference where the Wi-Fi really works. This is impressive. Okay, so this is the desktop application. I hope it will fit on the screen. Not completely, but yeah, nearly. So we can just scroll a little bit. Okay, so same thing. I just start my application and it's still open. Maybe this could be improved in the future. If I click on the number field, it's the same, right? Do this, click on the text field, say, Joker, yay. Oh, interesting. We take it. And yeah, we have colors. Sure, we have. So we can choose the color again. It's the same procedure. Or we have the spinner, and also the image works the same way. So I can again take a picture, and then we take this side. Yay, okay, here we go. Yes, use the picture and send it. And then here you see it in the browser now. And the same works for my signature. Bam. There it is. So, and you can imagine that this is, I mean, this should just give you an idea what is possible, just by combining these technologies. So when I saw the first version, when we created that with the students, it was okay, but then I directly had the idea, wow, this is really nice if you can remote control your application, right? So you can write whatever you like, you just need MQTT, that's all you need to do, and then you can run it here remotely. But there's even more. Let me show you the JPro version. I hope I get it working. Let me see. It is in okay, and it's JPro start. Crossing fingers that it works because I didn't try it before. Oh, that looks good. I'm confident. So what it does, the JPro stuff, it's quite fascinating. They use JavaFX on the server side and split off the rendering part and send the rendering part to the browser and let it happen via SVG. So it will render the user interface using SVG, but everything else is running on the server side. That's the idea. Oh, it failed. Why? Damn it. What demo was that? It's on it. Oh, it should work. Let me just, give me a second, because it's interesting to see. Hopefully this time, but I don't think so. No, okay, damn it. But I have something else to show you. It's, I have it, where is it? Just to give you an idea about the JPro stuff. This is an application that is running on my own server, but this is a JavaFX application. And to prove it that this is a JavaFX application, I show you the one running on my IDE so that you get an idea. And this is just measurements done at my home office. And it's more or less just for demo purpose. But in this case, and usually the demo app also runs on the browser, but I don't know why it doesn't work now. It should work, but I didn't really try before. Just give me a second to load the right project. Dashboard. Here we go. So this is the JavaFX application. And I started locally. This should work here. Oh, what is this? Oh, okay. We have time. I'm fast. We have time enough, just because I cleared my cache. Oh, this might also be the problem with the other one. Okay. Downloading the internet. You have time, right? Easy. It will work. Come on, hurry up. Damn it, I should have tested that before. Okay. Because I think it's quite fascinating that if you imagine that this stuff is, and you see I can click on it and it's interactive. It's not that slow. And if I switch this button here, it will switch on the light in my office. So I better don't do that. Because always when I do it, my wife hates me for that. Especially when I'm in the US, and I did that at Java 1, and then I was, look here, I can switch on the light and on and off. Hey. And at that time I had a little orange alarm light. And then so the next morning she called me and said, so what are you doing? So I woke up, and in the office it was like, woo, the light was on and off and on and off, and I was like, oh, I tested it. It was not a good idea because of the time zone difference, it was really bad. But this takes forever here. Okay, I mean, we won't wait for that, maybe later on. Okay, so you saw the demo. You have to trust me that it also works with JavaFX in the browser. But I have also some questions for you. So who's working with a web application? I mean, it's most of you, right? Okay. As you saw, it works with Polymer. This is a Polymer 2 application, but it could be whatever. It doesn't matter. The important part is that it's JavaScript stuff. And then you can use MQTT. You just need a broker. That's all you need, an internet connection. And I will put the stuff on GitHub. It's not at the moment because I would also like to create an Android application, because in principle you can do the same stuff on an Android phone. It's not a big difference. It's the same thing. The idea is to use the capabilities of the mobile device to give the user a better experience when working with a desktop application or web application. It doesn't make sense for all of the stuff that I showed you, right? For the date picker, for example, I don't want to use that. But for the text input, for example, if you can speak and it will be recognized, that might be good. Then the pictures and the signature is definitely a nice thing to have. So even here we have some things on the good side and some on the bad side. So that we are totally ecosystem independent. On the mobile side, you create either an Android app or an iOS app, it doesn't matter. And on the desktop side, you can use whatever you like. The performance is much better than with OpenDolphin, so it's really fast. And even if the connection is bad, because we use MQTT, it's really good. It's no problem to deploy, right? So you know how to do the deployment, and you don't have to add a lot of code to your existing application to get that done. So it's mainly you have to add some listeners when you type something in a field, or when the field lost the focus, then you have to send something. And when you get the message, you have to access the field and set the text or set the value. So this is more or less all you need to do. It depends on the size of the application, of course, but it is in principle possible to pimp your application with such a remote control. And yeah, you have one mobile client for whatever application you like. Because I can use the same thing in a web application And I can use it for a JavaFX application and for whatever application you like, because the format of data interchange is always the same. So the application doesn't really care. And you can even use two applications at the same time, because the application sends an ID, and then the mobile app knows from which application it's coming. And because it's a one-screen app, it only shows one control. It's totally okay to use it at the same time for different apps. So it's no problem. Well, you have a different code base. That's the drawback, right? So you have to either Android or iOS on the mobile side, and then you have whatever you have on the desktop or website. And you need, therefore, some platform knowledge. So that means you can't really create such an app if you don't know iOS or Android. But this shouldn't be a problem these days. So who has some mobile experience here? A few, you see. I think this should be no problem at all. And yeah, for me, the biggest advantage was I have one control for each environment. I build it just once. A text field is a text field, and the input for a text field is, in my case, it's just using the microphone. Or a spinner for a spinner is this the slider on the mobile phone. And yeah, it's quite versatile with this. Okay, and you need at least an iOS or an Android client. You can also use Windows Mobile if you like, but I have no experience with that, so that's the reason why I didn't put it on here. And that's it, more or less. Thanks for listening, and if you have questions, we now have still 15 minutes left, so let me know. Any questions from your side? If not, I will be in the discussion area after that and also on the party, so you can just approach me anytime. So.
Guys, I'm here with microphone. If
Thanks, Gerrit, for the talk. Can you imagine the use case from real life where that approach with two synchronized applications can be used?
Well, like I said, it's when I gave the first version, I showed to other students, and then one of the students, and then at that time I didn't have this image and signature stuff, and then he came up with this. My father would love this stuff for his repair shop for cars, because he always has to take pictures with his camera, upload to the computer, then put it in the application and all that. So that gave me the idea that I also need to access the camera and store the images. So all these things where you need to take pictures for applications, and then this is more often than you think. And also signatures, I saw that very often. And sometimes you just have to print it out to get the signature of the customer, which is not needed if you use the mobile phone. So I think you can use it, maybe not for all applications, but there might be use cases. I also was thinking about, if you think about disabled people, for example, in Germany, we have on the train stations, you have some of these automats where you have to type in some stuff. And on the older ones, the screen is at this height. So because you can stay here. If you sit in a wheelchair, there's nearly no chance to reach it. So this is just one of the ideas, right? You could create even applications behind glass windows that you don't have to touch, where you can use your mobile phone if you have an application that can talk to the thing. So, I didn't show that I can also use the tab to go to the next field. I can just use a swipe left or right to navigate within the application. So I think there is a use case. This is a research project, right?
Yeah,
so it's a fun thing. So I just thought, I found it interesting, and that's the reason why I created the session. And I hope it might be interesting for one or the other.
It is. I thought maybe you already have some. But this is the good one, like the copy of the UI of some ticket machine, for example.
Yeah, for example. So this is, if you think about it, you will find more things where it might be useful. But I never saw that before. So this is the reason why I don't had any ideas in the beginning. I was just fascinated by the possibility that you can use the mobile phone with all its features you can also think about whatever if you use the sensors, like stuff like that, because we have accelerometers in there. Maybe there are controls that you can also remote control with that, right? I don't know. It's really, you have to think about the stuff to get the idea. But I thought if I don't start it, nobody will.
Yeah, thanks. That's really interesting. Another, not a question, but could you elaborate about JavaFX in a browser? How it works? Is it like you just compile JavaFX application and?
Oh, you don't do anything to do that. You just need a Gradle task. That's really all you need. There's a drawback I have to tell you. Oh, now I can show you the demo here. The drawback is that it doesn't support everything that is available in JavaFX. It doesn't support, for example, Canvas. Unfortunately, I use Canvas a lot, but that doesn't work. But if you just use nodes, then I don't do anything special in my application to run it in the browser. It just works. Because what they do is, so here's the desktop application now of the same dashboard that is running here in the browser. It's exactly the same thing. If I switch it on here, it should also be, you see in the browser, it's also switched on. And the way around, if I, just to prove that it works, if I switch it on in the browser, it will go off on the desktop application. They are also synchronized via MQTT. So the trick is that I can show you, because we still have some time left, there is a Gradle task, and it's called JPro, right? And oops, and come on, open it. And in principle, that's all you need. You need a dependency. It's in the beginning somewhere. Where is it? Here it was in the build script. So this is in principle all you need to run it. It is, they have their repository. It's on sundeck.com. And you need the JPro Gradle plugin here. It will be downloaded, installed, and then you can run it with the Gradle task. So now we can try again, because I think it was a problem. I just run my application here. Let's see. Maybe now it works. Because I cleared the cache in Gradle, and that might be the reason that, no, it doesn't work. I don't know why. But in principle, that would work this way. That's what I do on my server. I just started with Gradle, JPro start, and then it runs.
Okay, good. So JPro,
yeah,
that's the keyword.
Exactly.
We'll check it. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Anything else? Here.
Thank you for a good presentation. It's a very interesting architecture. I would like to advise you to use instead MQTT simpler protocol. It's Stomp.
Oh yeah, you can also use that one.
Because in this case, it's implemented user sessions mechanism. But on front end, you can use sock.js library.
Yeah, the reason why I used MQTT is that because it's available everywhere.
Yes. It's more reliable way, but how to implement user session in MQTT? I don't know how.
No, this is just this is a publish and subscribe model. It's really just event-based messaging. So this is nothing else. That's what I mean. In principle, you have to take care about the validation and all that stuff in synchronization, because the broker just passed through the messages. That's all it does. And to be honest, that's enough. And it's not complex. MQTT is fairly easy. So the only thing you need to do is take a string, package it into a binary and send it, and that's it. And the library will take care about that, the Eclipse PAHO stuff. It's quite easy. So in principle, I just have a couple of classes like this. My MQTT manager, it's 180 lines of code. And this is in principle all I need to send and receive messages. It's really simple stuff and not magic, because you can download these things everywhere. It's well known. In Java and also in JavaScript, it's the same. It's also Eclipse PAHO, and they have a demo code. So.
Okay, thank you.
But you are right. You can the protocol in principle, it doesn't matter.
Yes, it's Stomp. It's out of the box in Spring Boot.
Yeah, but you need Spring Boot, right?
Yes.
I don't need Spring Boot for nothing. I can use whatever. It's totally not agnostic to Java here. I use it in this one, but the Polymer stuff, I don't care.
Good.
Right? Okay. Anything else? I think we just still have a couple of minutes left. Yeah.
You mentioned Gluon earlier in your presentation. I was just wondering, is that Does it transpile the Java into native code, or is there like
Yes.
a virtual?
Yeah.
So there's not a virtual machine.
Oh
that
yeah, it
runs.
is a virtual machine. They use their own one, but you know, on iOS it's not allowed to bundle it, right? So they have to transpile it somehow. I'm not sure how they do it with the new Gluon VM, because they used before they used RoboVM, and I just can say that it's impressively fast in the meantime. It wasn't in the past, it was a bit slow, but I saw for Code 1, which starts next week, I saw a demo where they use 3D on the mobile phone running in JavaFX, and it was really fast with animations and stuff, and it was an AR application, so you open the app, then it will show you the camera and you can point it somewhere, and then it will pop up something in 3D on the screen and rotate it. So performance is not the big issue there. I think it's just people don't, how to say that? So if I would ask you, you will never use Java on a mobile phone. Why should you? Right? The first thing everybody say, oh, I use a web app if I need cross-platform. But it works with JavaFX, and it works quite well. And you can test it on the desktop, which for me is the biggest improvement there, the biggest advantage.
Thank you.
There's also.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. I'll catch you up in the discussion zone, but just a few notes about transpilation from Java to JavaScript. We've been there already,
Yeah.
Gluon, etc., and they are terribly slow. It doesn't work, and I'm not sure if it has any future perspective. So you should be very careful.
But it doesn't transpile to JavaScript, right? It transpiles to iOS native and to Android native.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
No JavaScript transpiling.
Hi, thank you for the speech. Did you thought about extending interface, not just duplicating things like input, but like pushing a tree from IDE to phone, like I can just look at code on my monitor and switch files?
I mean, in principle, you can do whatever you like, right? So this was, I'm coming from the first version. There was everything about synchronization, and then I thought, how can we make it platform independent? But in principle, you can do what you said. You can just improve it, right? Add additional stuff using the mobile phone to your desktop application, or maybe also vice versa. So this is nothing very special. Technically, it was easy to implement. I mean, I did that on my spare time, just because I was interested in if it's possible or not. And yeah, it works out quite well. So I think I will further improve it. So if you have ideas, just let me know, and I will try to implement it.